Hello everyone and welcome back to Beef Breaks It Down, and today we're tackling a scene in media that changed me irrevocably. I'm not good with words. I've never been good with words. It's not my strong suit. I'm a writer though. It's weird how that works. Anyway. Today we're talking about probably my favorite scene in anime, in media, and probably anything. Little fun facts about me, alright? I love the Goofy movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. And I love Toradora. And I plan on doing a video essay about Toradora in the near future, but like, to give you a prime idea of why I love it, why I think it needs to be talked about more, and why almost every single person doesn't understand that the scene that you've seen the video essays for, or the scene that you've seen broken down before, isn't the scene. It's not the scene you should care about. Oh, she goes and she runs after. Fuck that, alright? Fuck that. That's not important. I'm telling you right now, it is not important. The scene you need to care about is in episode 2. The moment Ryuji and Taiga fall in love with each other, they don't know that they've fallen in love with each other, but they are in love with each other, is in episode 2. And we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna show you exactly what's going on. Basically, for those who don't know, Toradora is a romantic comedy anime about a small girl who's nicknamed the Palm Top Tiger. She's your classic tsundere type, and Ryuji, who looks like a delinquent, but isn't. He's very mild-mannered and cleanly, and they start a friendship over the fact that both of them have an unrequited love, and they're best friends with each other's crush. So they decide to get closer and become friends, and over time, like in any good friends to lovers story, they kind of fall for each other. The problem is if you read the manga, if you read the light novels that it's based on, which are behind me, because again, it's my favorite piece of media ever. I shouldn't say ever, but it's my favorite TV show, like, ever. It's clear from minute 1 these two are just oblivious to the fact that they're in love, which is awesome. But you're wrong. You're wrong if you think Toradora is about the pool scene, or about the Christmas episode, or about some blind confession. No. Okay, it's about something much deeper than that, and at some point I will be going over it. I had a dream once where I made a 5-hour... I remember it. I was on YouTube, and I looked in it, and I saw a video by Beef Reacts, and it said Toradora. 5 hours, 40 minutes, and 32 seconds. I don't doubt that I can do that. Now, am I going to shoot for it? Am I going to make that? Probably not. But the amount of content in my life of talking about this show going forward, we might get there. That's all I'm going to say. We might get there. I can't make any promises. There's a realistic chance that copyright hits it pretty quickly, so if I have to break it up and do whatever, I'll do what needs to be done for the essence of it. However, if you don't mind, just like, comment, share, subscribe, do what you gotta do, especially if you like romance anime, because god damn do I love me a good romance story. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of filler. Today we should probably know about a couple of little cinematography things. So, namely just rhythm, which is just kind of, think of the edges of the screen as like a beat. So like you know how like a drummer, it's like da 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 da. On screen, your visual elements will do that, and the linear motif, which is just the lines, the most pronounced lines that you see on the screen, which you'll always see straight lines as people, because they're, standing straight up, or if they're laid down, it's the thing. They make their own beat, and it can be regular, irregular. We'll go through it a little bit more later, but like that, and just the storytelling of the scene in general, I think it's phenomenal. Like 5 seconds earlier, god, the score in this show is awesome too. I could gush about it all day. I really could. That's the problem, and today we're like, I just need to talk about this. I really just need to talk about this.
Out over people and you're gonna go bald, you mutt.
Don't you worry about yourself.
God.
Hey, do you ever get nervous when you, think about metering?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Obviously.
Notice the slow tracking shot that they're doing with the animation at the pole. Like, they're showing you before you even see the scene, what it's about. Like, you're seeing this pole, you're seeing this straight object, like, just going up into the air.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
Obviously.
The close-up of her feet were detached. She's Taiga's a very guarded character, by the way, so, like, you see this entire time at no point has she ever shown vulnerability, and you kind of realize her arc throughout the show is that she's always been afraid to be vulnerable because she has been discarded and thrown away by every single person in her life. And then she meets Ryuji.
Why'd you stop?
Why doesn't anyone seem to understand us?
What a fucking line. The long shot, the far awayness, and then...
Seriously, we're nothing but a couple of nervous wrecks all the time.
She finally finds kinship with somebody. Notice that. Like, she's saying we. And then...
So why can't people see that? Truth is, everybody, all of them, they're just really...
Get it, girl. And she, so angry, she kicks the pole. We don't need to see the pole again. We see the wires going to it, the telephone wires moving. She's kicking it so hard that it needs to move.
Really? Pissing me off!
And instead of judgment, instead of anything, Ryuji bears witness to her just being vulnerable.
They piss me off! They piss me off! They piss me off! Screw that palm top tiger stuff! Nothing's okay! I'm not okay!
She says, that line is what sold me on the importance of this scene. Screw that palm top tiger stuff. It's not okay. I'm not okay. And instead of focusing on her, it cuts to Ryuji, who's hearing this, and it like I know it's animation and it's like it's not a lot of, you can't really like talk about the character acting, but the animation is showing this insane somber attitude towards what's being said, like a quiet understanding.
Piss me off! Screw that palm top tiger stuff! Nothing's okay! I'm not okay! Stupid Minarin! Stupid Kitamura!
Talking about Minarin, Minarin, her best friend, his crush, Kitamura, his best friend, her crush. Not understanding them.
Why doesn't anyone ever listen to me? My mom doesn't. My dad doesn't.
And then she finally says the one thing she wants. Why doesn't anyone listen to me? My mom doesn't. My dad. Like, I know I'm repeating it to you, but I'm repeating it because it's the emphasis that matters. This is literally somebody having this emotional moment of vulnerability for the first time on screen. Yes, it's the second episode of the series, but that's the point. It literally did not... There was, oh, Ryuji is mine. Oh, her crying for Ryuji. Fuck that. Fuck you. Okay? I'm sick of sitting here and being like, love is these grand romantic gestures that need to come out of the fucking blue for you to be like, oh, he really cares about her. No, because you want to know what care is? You want to know what love is? It is what this man does after this.
Anyone ever listen to me? My mom doesn't. My dad doesn't. They don't get me. Nobody does. Ever.
And right fucking there, like from the top of the rope, the RKO out of fucking nowhere. What does he do? He comes in, she sits there, and what does she say? No one gets me, no one ever will. And without saying a fucking word, without giving her some false platitude, what does he do? He comes in from the woodwork.
They don't get me. Nobody does. Ever.
Look at that slight moment. She's seen. She finally feels seen. Fuck. Like, she finally feels seen for something. And then, what does this mad lad say to her?
You mind if I join you?
God damn, is he so fucking cool. God damn. It's okay. It's okay, Matthew. We can do this. We can get through this without overhyping the audience, because I promise you, you guys may not care about this as much as I do, but to me, this is what inspires me to be a writer. This is what inspires me to make things. This right here, watching this for the first time and seeing this and finally, not me feeling seen, but seeing her feel seen is what made me go, fuck, if I can write something 2%, no, fuck that, 0.5% as good as that, I will feel like I have made it as an author. Because, like, what the fuck? Look at that! The quiet thing! And
I'm not a delinquent!
So what if I've got a weird name?
It's not my fault I look like this!
Screw you all!
And so what we see here is we get this beautiful, and I mean beautiful sequence. And I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna go back to her saying, "No one gets me. No one ever will." And like, we'll watch it fully. I'm sorry. I'm a yapper. I've been diagnosed with fucking Yappenson's disease. That's good. That's good. Clip that. I've been diagnosed with Yappenson's disease, and it just means that I chat and I yap a lot. But the reality is that what I love about this is, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, before we get into the actual arcs, before we get into the actual plot, we're at episode 2, and we see what this show is about. It is about these two characters, Taiga and Ryuji, connecting. It's about them having this bond where he is the only person that makes her feel like she is seen, that makes her feel like it's okay for her to be herself, where she's not awkward, where she's not pretending, when she's not feeling scared of every little thing around her, where she feels okay to be vulnerable. So that's what we get out of this scene. This one is what makes your scenes work, okay? Okay, whatever your name is, sir, alright? You don't get to break down at the scene of her crying, holding that scarf that he gave her, unless you have this. And I'm sick of constantly treating writing like it's the grand moments that matter, like it's the monologues that matter. No, it's everything that matters. It's a big reason why I cannot stand this concept of, like, it's just a good scene, or like it's a good scene in a bad movie. It's like, if there's a good scene in a bad movie, then the movie's not as bad as you think. Then the show's not as bad as you think, because if it was, there wouldn't be any good scenes. Because good scenes can only be built out of everything else around them. So, what does this do? This gives you the precursor of what the show's about, and then you see that together, through their connection, they're able to overcome any major obstacle, namely the fucking pole that they just kick.
My mom doesn't. My dad doesn't. They don't get me. Nobody does. Ever.
God.
You mind if I join you?
I fucking love this.
Who cares if I'm small?
I'm not a delinquent!
So what if I've got a weird name?
It's not my fault I look like this!
Screw you all!
Are you okay?
Ryuji, did we tilt it yet?
No, that's impossible. It is tilted!
Seriously? Yes, we did it! We win! I made up my mind.
I think the other thing too that makes this scene really pivotal, not pivotal, but like hit so much harder in the manga and in the light novel, and they don't show it in the show, but Taiga literally gets done telling him right before this that her home life was so bad that her mother and her father decided that instead of just keeping their daughter, and instead of just dealing with the fact that she's a teenager going through her own awkward shit and she's difficult, it would be easier for them to pay for an apartment for her to live by herself. In the manga, when Ryuji first goes into her house, when Ryuji first sees her house, he describes it as a dollhouse where it has items and things inside of it, but it has no care, no joy. It's there for show, for decoration. It's not there to be lived in. And then he even describes her as a doll. Actually, one of my favorite things about the light novel series is Ryuji in his head is so poetic. He describes Minarine as the sun rising, and Taiga as like the most beautiful porcelain doll that's so fragile, so broken that that you dare not touch her. And like, fuck, like I know that maybe this isn't your cup of tea, or maybe that this isn't what you want. But if there's one thing I love, it is I love breaking down the way that this story works, because honestly, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's fantastic. I think... Give me 1 second. I'm always afraid. I'm always afraid of randomly getting copyright struck and like them randomly blocking the video and that type of thing. So that's why you see the little copyright protectors, whether it's that little flower thingy or the other thing. It's just so they don't block the video nationwide. I'm sure because Sony is a bunch of assholes hearing that tune, that beautiful score that they play throughout this like entire show, it's gonna get claimed. I don't care about that part. I just claim about whether or not it's visible to you guys. To me, this scene really just represents what a masterclass in storytelling is. You get in 2 minutes, maybe, like a minute and a half, everything you need to know about these characters, their struggles, and like, writing in particular, good writing, does this thing where you can take a singular scene, you can take a singular thing, and it works as a microcosm of like the whole. Yes, the whole, like a piece makes up the whole, which is why I'm saying this scene matters much more than, well, not matters much more, but this scene is what adds weight to the later scenes. This scene makes sense. This scene is followed by, at the end of this episode, her failing to confess to Kitamura, which immediately causes him to be like, oh, thought you and Ryuji were together. And she's like, no, but it's not like I don't hate him. Honestly, I wish he were here right now, because when he's around, it's the only time I ever feel comfortable to breathe. He makes it feel like I'm not scared or stressed. And that's why Kitamura is like, oh yeah, so you're in love with him and you just don't know it yet. That's why every fucking character in the show is like, yeah, you two are clearly in love with each other, and you're both just too stupid to notice it. But I digress. Either way, I've been here doing my Yap Olympics for like 20 minutes. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't mind, just like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, question of the day, what is your favorite show? Mine is Toradora, and I hope you learned something about storytelling here, genuinely. Like, I hope you learned a little bit more. I hope I'm getting better at this. If I'm not, let me know. Comment down below if you're interested in me breaking down more of the scenes in this show, or if you're interested in me doing more scene breakdowns like this. The cinematography stuff is a little bit more difficult and would take more time for me to do than like the actual like script and story elements, because like, you can't watch something one time. You have to watch it like 5 or 6, and watching it 5 or 6 times and taking notes on it and that type of thing is something I will gladly do for you. It's just a matter of like, I need to know ahead of time what I'm doing, and trying to plan that out without much guidance or feedback has been a little difficult. So if you made it this far, please comment like what you want to see, what type of things you'd want to see broken down. I'm thinking of doing the bird fight, like the first team fight in Ruby, because I really think establishing the team dynamics and the way that everything is set up in that specific episode, Volume 1, Chapter 8, would be a really good time. And, yeah, either way, just let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out. I hope you guys have a good one. And, you know, I've been thinking of trying to figure out a good sign-off. I recently read Robert Rodriguez's book. It's called Rebel Without a Crew. And he ends it with a line that I really like, where he says, creativity is dangerous, be dangerous. And I think I want to take that. You know, good artists create, great artists steal. So I'm going to steal for a second. Remember, creativity is dangerous, and you should be dangerous.